right, guys, what's up? I'm here with the one and only man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Glenn Lundy. And Glenn, man, I am so pumped up to have you in studio today. I know I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of weeks, and got a great lineup today, man.
Yeah, we do have a great lineup. Super excited to be here. Appreciate you sharing the space and this time with me. And yeah, the lineup today is over the top, dude. These are some amazing superhumans right here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Sam, do me a favor out of my cubicle. Grab the hoodie. We're going to give away a hoodie today, too. And just, you know, we announced it. I think we put it in Auto Dealer Live group and just said to share the show. And if you share it, we're going to draw a name at the end and give away one of our ADU hoodies.
Can I win? I'm gonna share it right
Yes,
now.
sir.
Can I win?
You can get one no matter what. Come on. You know, I got to be honest. I was behind getting these because I love that like university kind of, you know, old school. I didn't go to college. I dropped. You know, I had to work. I got married too young, and so so I had to. I left college very early, and I've kind of envied not having not having a university. So we got one here for you. Auto Dealer University hoodie.
Nice.
We'll give that away. But hey. You know, I wanted to talk to you, man, because, you know, you've been traveling all over the country, and we're going to talk today with Jonathan Dawson and Ben Dykstra on the first segment, and then we're going to have Kevin Strosnider on Chevy dealer on the second segment. But we're going to be talking about new salespeople. You know, I've always heard, I mean, obviously you spent a lot of time in dealerships, both, you know, running a store and now, of course, consulting. And, you know, dealerships, there's been a lot of dealerships that kind of just handed somebody a pack of cards and told them to get out on the floor and sell cars. And, you know, it's funny because most corporate industries, right, or most Fortune 500 companies, they don't do that. But the car business has kind of always gotten a rap to do that. And some of the dealerships today, they've really turned the corner by investing in their people more than ever. Why is it? Why do you think that took so long, and why is it so important?
Well, man, I mean, you only know what you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our industry is unique in the sense that 80% of dealer owners across the nation right now are second or third generation. These are businesses that have been handed down over time. They're legacy builders, and they've been, you know, the industry has been profitable for most for a really long time, you know, decades and decades. And so I think with that, you know, grandpa did it a certain way, and he taught dad to do it a certain way, and now the son's in there, or the grandson, he's in there learning, and we only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know, right? And it's been working. So it's kind of hard to, if you grew up a certain way, it's almost like, you know, like anything else. I don't want to use any like negative connotations, but you know what I mean? Like certain things tend to trend in families, right? Like maybe alcoholism continues or things like that. And it's the same thing. So they were getting a result. It's been working for a long time. This is the way we do it. We continue to do it that way. But now it's starting to really get shaken up. I think that owners nowadays are starting to really value their people more, starting to understand how important it is to educate and empower your people, and that it's not a hard cost. Training is not a hard cost. It's an investment, and that's the biggest shift. It's changing it from a hard cost to an investment.
I like that. So it definitely is changing, and you know, because there was a time when it just didn't exist, and you know, I wonder, and I want to talk to our guest about this when we bring him on here in just a couple of minutes. I wonder if it has anything to do with, you know, we really as an industry lost so many good people over the years. You know, people that you know, that shouldn't have never left the industry and just excelled, went places, and at the same time, I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that aren't from this industry, didn't grow up in this industry, that are coming into this industry, and there's at the same time we lost people, and maybe that caused a shift or a change. You know, there's been a demand from people coming in to, I really want to become a professional at this. And then you have, you know, those out there that are just really doing something, you know, phenomenal, moving the needle at high levels that people are trying to emulate. And what they talk about is, hey, invest into your people,
That's
train.
Right.
And, you know, so I'm glad to see it change.
Me too. Yeah, I think it's we're moving in the right direction, you know, for sure. And as we implement more training, as we invest in our people more, all it does is set us up for the next wave. You know, our generation, my generation, you know, we did get some training. Our training was go in the closet, plug in the cassette or the VCR tape, right, and watch the VCR tape. That was the training we got. And that was revolutionary at the time.
It was.
You know? And now we've got...
I wore some of those tapes out, man.
Right. You and me both. But now we've got some great people that are in the industry that are getting creative and coming up with new ways. And as we evolve, you can see the training aspect is evolving, which makes it more appealing for younger people to actually get into the industry. Whereas before, it was scary, man. It was like sink or swim, you know?
Absolutely. And Ezra, are we going straight to our guest?
Yes, sir. We're all set to go.
Okay, perfect. Let's just go ahead and bring him on and bring him into the conversation. So on our first segment here, we have Mr. Jonathan Dawson, of course, automotive sales trainer, speaker, consultant, founder and coach at Psychology. And then we have founder of dealershiplife.org, former sales trainer at the Denure, if I said that correctly, automotive family in Kalamazoo. That's always been a difficult name for me. I don't know, my you know, just something about it. But hey, Mr. Ben Dykstra, Jonathan and Ben, thank you guys for joining us. Can't think of two better people to have on than you two to talk about this subject. And Jonathan, I just want to kind of go straight to you and dive into this. And you know, you heard our monologue. Obviously, you know the topics that we're talking about: new salespeople in the dealership. We're going to talk about, you know, best way to achieve results and, you know, kind of training them. But let me throw this out there and ask you too. Maybe just as a curveball in the beginning, you know, looking at technology today is, you know, a lot of dealerships consider training, you know, CRM driven or technology driven, and they sometimes negate the sales aspect of it. And, you know, I've found that that, you know, there's a need for both, but sometimes I don't know if it's if we just think that we should know these things, we don't sharpen our skills when it comes to sales. And every salesperson that I've ever been around that should have made it that didn't, it was because they left the basics. They stopped doing what they learned to do right once upon a time. What's your thoughts on that, and you know, maybe what direction, you know, a dealership needs to kind of go?
Well, I appreciate, of course, the opportunity to speak on this subject, something that's near and dear to my heart. It's also, of course, the joy to see you, David, and to see Glenn. I said before the show, I'd like you guys to social distance just a little bit more for my comfort, or wear masks, if you don't mind.
Looks like Ben's wearing a beard mask there.
Yeah, he's got a beard mask. So, listen, you know, to your question there, in fact, you made the comment in the monologue, so you know that, you know, a lot of stores just hand a guy a stack of business cards. Hey, David, I'd be happy if they even did that. You know, I mean, how many stores have I been where the salesperson doesn't even have cards yet in their first month in the business? They're scratching out the name of some other salesperson and putting on their name. I mean, look, the reality is the problem that we have to solve and the thing that we have to address is not just what you just brought up, which is so critical, which is teaching salespeople how to move effectively and efficiently through the sales experience with the customer. Obviously, that's critical because, quite frankly, if they don't know how to do that, oftentimes they don't get paid, and if they don't get paid, they can't stay. But I want to touch base, if I can, before I get into that answer, I want to touch base to something I think that's critical we miss that precedes that problem. Because a lot of times we do look at the problem, but there's, you know, and there is solutions to the problem, but there's oftentimes proactive preventions to the problem. You know, so I think the way that we recruit and the way that we even hire people is a more important critical thing than how we onboard the new guy. A lot of stores have broken recruiting and hiring processes, which facilitate hiring people that should not be hired, that facilitates then management feeling immediately discouraged with these new people going, I don't want to spend a lot of time with these people because I don't even think they're going to be here, which means the management's commitment level to train, to properly onboard, support, and coach these people is always limited because, quite frankly, from the beginning, they weren't excited about these candidates. They didn't even want to hire these people, but they needed bodies. So if we're going to talk about effectively training a new person, which is obviously the theme here, and I want to talk about that, I think it's very important that dealers take a second and ask a really critical question. If our people fail because what you said, David, is true, they don't follow the road to the sale. They slip or skip somewhere on the steps, and they have a misstep on the road to the sale. If that's critically true, and our people need to become more effective following the process, I want to push back and say, wait a second, do you have a road to the hire? Because if a salesperson's failing, it's almost always we can find somewhere in the road to the sale that they're skipping or slipping. That's true. But if you are hiring bad people to begin with, is it possible that you don't even have a road to the hire? So if a salesperson wings it, they get winging it results. When management wings it, they get winging it results. And so I think it's really critical for any dealer, GM, GSM who's watching this right now, any member of the leadership team, to really stop and assess, do we have a road to the hire the way we have a road to the sale? Is it written? Because it's not in writing, it's not real. And are we following a consistent onboarding, hiring, and training process, a system that gives us a higher likelihood of success, the same way we want our people then to follow a system that'll help them be successful? That's I think, critical to remember.
What do you think, Glenn?
Yeah, 100%. You know, Jonathan's on. He's 100% spot on, and there are a lot of benefits to that. You know, over at the dealership that I was running for a good amount of time, that we had a good amount of success. That was one of the things that we implemented. I'd say about halfway through my tenure with them, we put in place a 2-week onboarding system that involved all of management. So sales managers each had a 2-hour block, and finance managers and service managers and human resources and everybody. So by the end of this 2 weeks, we even had a day where the salespeople worked in detail all day for a day. So by the end of the 2-week process, everyone had met everyone knew, you know, their roles and how they could add value, who they resonated with, so on and so forth. Super valuable. It made the hiring process more palpable for the management, because now they're looking like, okay, I've got 2 hours to train this guy. Right. That's all I got. I can get away for 2 hours, versus the overwhelming feeling of how do I pour into this person for a period of, you know, multiple weeks. And so it made it more palpable. It became an exciting thing, bringing on and onboarding, and the retention levels, you know, they go through the roof at that point. When you're hiring people together in a group, they build bonds and relationships. When you give them all the tools they need to succeed and win, they feel like you care. And it ultimately trickles down through all the different aspects. He's spot on.
Ben, let me go to you on this and ask you, so we just came through this COVID that we're coming through. So a lot of dealers, kind of one way or the other lost people, and a lot of them found themselves selling more cars with less staff. And so, maybe a dealer, let's just say, Ben, a dealer's, looking at bringing individuals back. It's really the best time in the world, coming into an end of a year, looking to plan for next year. Should they look differently? Maybe bringing in a different type of caliber person. I'll let you weigh in on this, Ben, and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. Super excited to be on the call with all of you. I think that the caliber of person is a big problem in the sense that they're not looking for us, right? And that's a thing that we need to change. And we've fought that negative perception and stigma in the car business from the customer end of it forever. And the thing that we need to keep in mind is that everybody who's thinking about getting into the car business to sell cars has a customer mentality, right? Before they're on our side, they're a customer. And so, I get the person when we've already hired them, right? And now it's my job to make sure they're successful. So I approach it as if it was a sale, right? Because I'm trying to get buy-in. And if I'm trying to get buy-in, then there's a purchase decision being made, right?
That's good.
And so the first thing that we got to do is attract the kind of people that we want to have in our business. Of course, I want to hire professionals, right? Professional salespeople. But if they're not reaching out to me, what do I do? So I think most people, when they first start in the car business, they adopt a we'll see mentality, right? And no offense to any of us, this is just my own story, and I've just discovered that it's the story of a lot of other people too. They kind of get in it by accident, right? That's true, isn't it, Glenn?
Oh yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt.
My first option, my dream job, the thing I really wanted to do, I wasn't qualified for it, or I wasn't the right time. It didn't work out. I needed to get experience, and so, this is one of my option of things that I can try in the meantime while I get there. And so I, when I go home for Christmas to tell everybody what I've been doing, I was like, I'm selling cars. And everybody's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, well, we'll see. And it's ironic because most sales managers would answer the question the same way. How do you feel about your new guy? Well, we'll see.
Sure.
And so, we're trying to get the buy-in. So I'm the one that's selling. And so I always approach that initial hire training that initial hire, just like I would approach selling a car. We're going to start it off.
That's actually a really good point if you think about that, because that's how I hire people, and that's a really good point that I don't think I've thought too much about for the car business. That why aren't they noticing us? Because if you talk to people who are extremely successful in the car business selling cars, they're making quite a bit of money.
Sure.
And they, so you have these high performers or people that that are looking for high performance sales jobs. Why aren't they, why aren't they looking at the car business? And so it has to be perception. It has to be right. And I think that I think Ben brings up a good point.
It's a systemic issue. It's a systemic issue that's generation on generation on generation of some truths, some misbeliefs, some limited beliefs, right? But really it's systemic over time. If you look at how we are portrayed anywhere, in a movie, in the media, in our own television commercials, right? We are portrayed as a bunch of clowns, a bunch of yahoos, a bunch of sleazeballs. It's even everybody's. I've noticed a lot of people in the automotive. They're like on this Cobra Kai thing on Netflix right now, right? Oh, Cobra Kai! I'm binge watching, dude. Even in that, dude, they took the Karate Kid,
right.
This like epic, iconic human, and turned him into a sleazeball car guy, right? Like, and we're praising that. We're like, yeah, well, let's watch this. But really, it's systemic. It's all the way across the board. It has been for years and years and years. It's going to take a long time to shift that. You don't fix something systemic overnight.
Yeah.
So it's a compilation of guys like you, guys like Jonathan, guys like Ben, going out there and helping shift this thing. We have to move. It's a big ship that we're turning, right? And you showing up consistently, Jonathan showing up consistently, everybody showing up consistently to continue pushing. And I think over time, as we shift that narrative, then younger people, I can tell you right now, my kids want to be in the car business.
That's cool.
They love the car business. They think it's awesome. And I think over time we can shift this, but it definitely does take some time.
Jonathan, we'll go back to you, man. We'll let you comment on what's been said.
Yeah, I think that, we're all aware of this. I don't know that there's too many people who are unaware of some of these challenges. And go back to something Glenn, referenced earlier. He said, you only know what you know. And the reality is that most managers recognize that there is this challenge with their team and properly onboarding and properly helping them grow, and the reluctance of the new hire. And do I really want to spend a lot of time with this person? Are they even going to be here? And what's happening psychologically, of course, that's my personal passion, is what's going on in the psychology behind the scenes. And what's happening is oftentimes a thing called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is illustrated in the example of the elephant who, when a small baby elephant gets clasped with this iron chain around its ankle and staked into the ground, that as it pulls against the chain, this elephant just learns that as long as there's something on my left ankle, I can't get away. And later on, as it grows and matures and becomes this multi-ton beast, a simple rope tied around a simple twig does the same thing to the brain of that elephant. Managers have to be careful for this learned helplessness. And because what happens is you tell yourself a story that turnover is inevitable. There's always going to be this, you can't expect these guys to do things. You can't find good people. And these are all the stories that play in the mind, just like the elephant who tells itself that if there's something around my ankle, I can't get away. Managers have the same learned helplessness they've developed. So we as leaders, those of us who are industry influencers, and certainly those of you in management positions, you have to catch yourselves when you start telling yourself this story. And you have to realize, no, there is a better way. There are dealerships that have new people onboarded effectively, that properly recruited, hired, interviewed, and filtered for these people effectively. There are systematic ways to change the systemic problems, but it does take intentionality on your part as a leader. You have to stop giving your team permission to fail. You have to realize that people will rise to the lowest allowable standard you tolerate. And the more you tolerate, the lower the bar gets. And so you have to say, I'm going to be a person of principle. I'm going to be a person of standards. I'm going to make my people rise to my standards instead of lowering my standards to my people. And so practically things you can do right away as a dealership, and managers who are watching this, let me give you a very practical tool that can help you right away that you can do. As soon as this broadcast is over, get out a little notepad, get out a sheet of paper, doesn't matter, just get something. And I want you to write down the top 3 to 5 challenges and complaints that you have about people, especially on your team now, and maybe even your newer people. What are some of the challenges you currently face with these new people? And all the nuanced complaints, all the simple things that bother you. And what you'll end up with is probably a list like this. My people won't use social media to grow their business. I can't get them to do it. You'll end up with things like, my people don't want to train and they don't want to practice or role play. You'll have things like, I've hired somebody who's afraid of their own shadow and can't even ask for the bump. I have to TO and close every one of their deals. You'll hire people who don't seem to have goals or motivation. They don't seem to have a desire to win. So you'll find that there's these kind of common themes that managers all wrestle with. Once you make your list, what I want you to do is I want you to ask a simple question. Knowing that this is normal, if I owned a time machine and I could have gone back in time before I hired this person, in the interview, in the job ad, in the process of hiring them, what could I and should I have done to prevent this problem from being on my team? How could I fire them before I hire them so I won't have to fire them later? How do I do that on purpose? And what you'll end up with if you take some time to do this, and obviously I'm here to help you do this, but this is something anyone can do, is you'll end up with a list of things that you can do to pre-qualify your candidates better for the traits, qualities, characteristics, and skill sets that you want them to have. And then you'll find yourself being a little bit more selective intentionally, and you'll find yourself not having the same problems perpetually. So I would just encourage everybody to be proactive with these problems. Don't normalize the nonsense. We get so good at developing coping skills when we normalize the nonsense around us and just call it normal. Who cares what's normal? I'm not in this to be normal. I'm in this to do extraordinary, when you have to have a different standard to do that. So I just want to encourage you, there is a better way. There's hope. There's hope. It doesn't have to stay this way. It can be better. It will be better if you get better. And so that would be my push to anyone in here. Make a list. Stop normalizing the nonsense. And to the reference of what I said earlier about onboarding, my email address is right like here, info@Cellcology. Feel free to hit that with a subject line, onboarding ADL, and we'll send you some tools to help you with your onboarding process, some checklists, some things you can do with your store, simple things that you can integrate immediately. And so just hit that email address, put onboarding ADL, and let me help you out.
Thank you, Jonathan, and awesome stuff, man. Somebody commented, Jonathan spitting fire, and somebody said, woo, with a bunch of W's, Dawson. So good stuff there. Ben, we'll give you, some closing remarks as well, and then you can tell people how they can reach out and how you can help them. But I mean, I'm going to let you just you've been listening, and I'm sure I don't really have a question. I just want you to be able to dive in and kind of close us out on your segment the way you would like to, and then give dealers the way they can get a hold of you.
I think it starts with a purpose statement, man. Everybody needs a purpose, and my purpose is not to show cars and tell about cars and do paperwork, right? So the purpose statement that I give people in sales, whether it's new hires, whether it's anybody, our purpose is to help guide others through the process of making a big decision, right? And that's why I personally believe that anybody can sell, because that's a natural human behavior. We all help guide others through the process of making big decisions in our personal lives. And so the reason that I can't sell is because I'm thinking of it as something other than what it is, right? I'm thinking I have to do and say exactly the right things at exactly the right time. And I have to be able to close, and I got to be a hammer, and I got to do all this stuff that everybody's told me I need to do. When really, I just need to help guide others through the process of making the big decision. And that skill and ability, when properly learned and applied, is absolutely life-changing to me. If I can do that well, that changes how I make all the decisions in my life, right? And so we got to close, right? But we have to close constructively. And so we have to have a meaningful setup, right? And all that is talking to people, getting the picture, right? As Damien likes to say, just figuring out what's going on with them. And, speaking of psychology, I know it's big for Jonathan and it's big for me too, but, there's a psychological process that everybody goes through when they're making a big purchase decision. And the books and the science and the research tell us what that is. And so all we need to do is recognize all the boxes that we need to fill in for people, and then figure out the specific transitions and flow that only exist in our industry, our profession, and how to manage that interaction to make it go smoothly so that we can accomplish our goal of helping others to make this big decision. So That's what my kind of foundation course is all about. I mean, you can check that out on my website if you want to. My cell phone number's on the website. You can call me if you have any questions. But, nice. I know Glenn's big on this, right? That anybody can do this, right? And that being in this business changes lives. And I think the biggest reason is because if we properly recognize the professional service that we provide of helping people make this decision, it changes everything about how we think about the job, right? All the icky stuff, all the bad stuff's gone. It's just, let me focus on you and what I can do to help you through this process.
Well said, man. Hey, Jonathan Dawson and Ben Dykstra, make sure you get a hold of them, dealershiplife.org, and also, of course, Psychology. You can visit their sites. They gave you the information. Gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. Been great panel. And
hold on, I can't let you sign off yet, David
okay,
Villa.
Yes, go ahead.
I gotta interrupt, because we got Jonathan Dawson and I. We're here together, and we just want the whole world to know that if your salespeople are not selling one car a day every day that they're at work, you are doing them a disservice. It is a limited belief that they cannot sell a car every day that they're at work. That is one of the things that Jonathan was talking about. Somehow, somewhere down the line, we pre-programmed, and it's not right, and it's not real, and it only exists if you allow it. Right, Jonathan? It only exists if you allow it. One car a day every day that they're at work. That's what we're championing for.
You might agree with that. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you one other thing real quick. If you have any top performers and they feel lonely at the top, check out the pinnaclesociety.com. I got a push for that. That's Ali Rada, Frank Crediti, and myself. We created a community of top performers. We created a network of people who are high achievers and want to unlock their next level, who feel like it's lonely at the top of their store, who need people who, the average salesperson cannot fill out their phone and call 5 people who double their sales. The average person cannot find 5 people that double their sales and call them right now. We created a society of top performers so that it's no longer lonely at the top. Check that out at thepinnaclesociety.com. If you're not selling 22 cars minimum a month, you need to get yourself to that level. And then if you are doing something that or higher, come check out and be part of our society. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the time. Glenn, love the shout out. Thank you. Dave, thanks for the show today. Ben, good to see you, my friend.
Thanks to everybody.
Thanks, gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be just momentarily. I think Kevin's already in the waiting room. I saw him pop in there. But we're going to have the dealer principal, general manager of Strosnider Chevy in Hopewell, Virginia. You know him well. He's part of your 800% club. Let me ask this. I'm going to give you, if I can, maybe plug what you're doing.
Sure.
Because I know that there's limited availability because, you really, first of all, you interview and you want to make sure that it's a fit and that somebody's serious about success and going to the next level. But, I know that if there are some dealers out there, what would be an ideal candidate if they're watching right now to connect with you if they wanted to be part of what you're doing?
Yeah, so we have the 800% Elite Automotive Club, and I am working with owners and general managers of dealerships all across the country, helping them increase their volume, their profitability, their employee retention, and the overall culture in the dealership. So our mission is, I believe, if we can start at the top and work with these, a lot of them, again, second generation, third generation owners, if we can start at the top and work with them and help them to see things a little bit differently than maybe they grew up with or had been molded to believe, if we can change some of those beliefs, like the fact that a car a day should be the standard, if we can work on that, then that ultimately trickles down into our management, trickles down into our salespeople, and can make a massive impact in this industry. And so ideally, most of my clients, they're typically selling anywhere from 50 to 250 cars out the gate. We tend to see some real great results. We have some bigger stores also, Furman, right. Chevrolet. We've got Liza's group with the Carter Myers Automotive Group, a little bit different programs for them. But ultimately, between 50 and 250 cars, owners and GMs that aren't in a metro.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, man, I'm not in a metro. I don't have access to so many people. My location's maybe not as desirable.
Right.
Those tend to be the stores that we can really expand and grow rather quickly. So it's been awesome. Kevin's been with me for about a year now, and excited to have him on today.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring Kevin on with us, Kevin Strosnider. Kevin, thank you for coming on. And, we were talking to Jonathan and Ben about, primarily new salespeople, even though it covered, I think, it covered a whole lot more. Because it's hard to limit, two individuals that are successful at that level, to just one element. Because really the dealership's so connected. But we wanted specifically, Kevin, to talk to you about, keeping the iron sharp and really talking about the veterans that are out there because, it's a perfect time to do it. I mean, it's always a perfect time, I guess. But right now, coming out of the season that we've come out of, and Kevin, you guys are doing some great things there in Hopewell. Thanks for being with us, man. And talk a little bit about your philosophy when it comes to your veterans and how you keep the iron sharp. Kevin, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, David. Good to see you. I don't know that guy to your left. I've never seen him before. What's his name?
Glenn Lundy. That's with an L. Look at the rise and grind on the inside of the coat. You got to get that.
Yeah, I got to show off that rise and grind.
Come on, you got to show the lining on his coat. I don't think you like this.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Sam's sleeping over there. You got to get that one more time. Look at that for social media. Come on, that's the rise and grind.
Yeah, in case you don't know me, man.
Look at that.
In case you don't know me, you got to know the rise and grind.
I got to get something. I got to get one of our products on the inside of a jacket.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll start wearing jackets again.
For real.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Kevin. Go ahead, bro.
Thank you for having me on, and always a pleasure to be on with you, and of course with Glenn. Just was with Glenn in Colorado last week, so
yes, sir.
Seen a lot of each other recently. But it's been interesting. I was watching y'all earlier, talking with Ben and with Jonathan, and talking about just the psychology and going through all the things that we've gone through over the past few months. I will admit that probably a year ago, if I hadn't got on with Glenn, the psychology, the mindset of our dealership would probably be a lot different right now. And you asked that, how do you keep it? How do you keep things sharp? How do you keep the mentality upright? And I think a big part of it is you have to have the right mentors, and you have to have the right people around you saying the right things and leading you in the right direction. And that has been huge for me. And it's been a big learning point for me in that I realized, okay, I need people like Glenn. I need people like David Villa. I need people who like Joe Calla and Dave Cribbs, who are going to pour into me as a leader. And I think I mentioned this the last time that I was on here. I mentioned that my father said, I wasn't, when I sent you off to go see Glenn in Kentucky, he said, I wasn't investing in Glenn, I was investing in you. And that really hit me, that as the leader of our store, that is my responsibility every single day. To make sure that I'm investing in my people, that I'm pouring into them. And we talked a lot last week with Danelle Delgado about energy and about what you allow inside you. It's funny when you start really paying attention to your energy and to the energy that you allow, and that you make the commitment, I'm going to only have positive energy. It's funny how much your eyes are opened up to the fact that there's a lot of negative energy around you, and you get involved in a lot of negative energy all the time if you don't pay attention to it, if you're not focused on it. So one of the big things that I'm really focused on right now is making sure that all the time I'm positive, I'm upbeat, I'm going out there. It's funny, Danelle said, one of the worst things that somebody can say when somebody asks how you're doing is, I'm fine. Fine means you're nothing. Fine means you're nothing. There's
leave me
nothing.
alone.
Right?
Yeah, leave me alone.
Fine is just fine. It's blah.
Yeah.
There's nothing exciting about it.
Let me ask you, Glenn, something Kevin just. I'm sorry, I just got about. I don't want to lose what you just said, Kevin. I'll come back to you in a second. Yeah. He said, and he told me that before, and I thought that was really cool. When he was on before, he said his dad said he was investing in him. And that, first of all, that's a heart of a father. That's another show, but that's really cool. That another, not just a leader, but why is that? I don't want to lose the moment of saying, in your opinion, why is mentorship and investing into people that are your veterans. Why is that so important for veterans? You know, in other words, he's talking about the energy and so forth and so on, and you have these veterans, but I know it's important for everyone, but specifically we're talking about veterans here. Why do you think that's so important with veterans in the car business?
Yeah, I think that we all need, I mean, everybody needs a coach, right? Everybody needs, Jordan had a coach. Kobe had a coach, right? Phil Jackson as a coach, he had a coach. He had mentors. We all need that. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that for some reason we've got this idea and concept that people are supposed to stay in our life forever. And that's not the reality of it. Like, yes, we want to love people. I love you. I'll love you forever, right? Like I love David Villa forever, and I'm sure we'll come across and we'll do things together, and I learn things from you and you're going to learn things from me, and we'll continue to grow. But there's going to be another season where I'm going to be elevated, you're going to be elevated, and there's going to be things that you need to learn that I can't teach, and there's going to be things I need to learn that you can't teach. And good. So in the automotive world, we tend to stick with the same group of people forever, right? His dad's store, his dad's dad's store, and we just kind of stay there, and we're learning from the same people. And so I have tons of mentors and coaches. Kevin just mentioned, you know, like Danelle Delgado. She's one of my mentors. I learn more from her. I think it's important that veterans find someone that is doing what they ultimately hope to do one day, and then find a way to invest in that until you can get to that level. And then at that point, you got to go find somebody else, man. Like coaches and like look at the look at the Phil Jackson, those guys, you know, in the NBA. You do so much with a coach, and then the coach has got to go, right? We got to find somebody who's got some new ideas, some new visions, some new that type of thing. So it's just important. We all need it. We all need people in order to continue to level up with new, fresh ideas that push us beyond our normal, comfortable limits.
You know, I had it, Kevin. I'll let you weigh in on this. I mean, Glenn, you could weigh in on it as well. But I had something happen a couple of years. I don't want to say too much because he may be watching. I haven't spoke to him in a couple of years, but he came to it's actually probably 3 years ago. Came to a boot camp. I think he won it. And he was in the car business, and I remember my team reaching out to him and saying, hey, you know, you can come. Hey, matter of fact, you can we'll let you bring a couple of your colleagues. And the response was, and this person was one of the top salespeople at the store. He said, "Nah, I don't want to bring any of them." He said, because right now I'm just. It was basically for I don't want them in on what I'm doing.
Right.
And I guess my question would be, you know, and I just thought about that when you were talking, and we were talking about veterans in this business. It's not that it's their responsibility as a veteran if they're not a manager, you know, and they're on the floor, what have you, to train somebody. I mean, it's not their job, but how do we get more people to out of their heart? My veterans here, like out of the fact that I guess they're just the right people, Kevin. They pull these green peas sometimes under their wing, and they'll pour into them and help them. They genuinely want to see them succeed. And I know this is very competitive, but I mean, I don't think I've ever asked that question before. But I mean, have you experienced, you know, some of your veterans on their own taking time to pour into somebody who is new just to see them succeed? Have you seen that, Kevin?
Yeah, I have, and I think part of what you're going back to is what we were talking, or what y'all were talking about earlier before I hopped on, which was how the car business used to be and always has been. It's very dog eat dog. It has always been, let me rephrase that. In the past, a lot of times it's been go out there and sink or swim, you know, and a lot of these the guys who are veterans have put in their dues. They've put in the time, and so they have this mindset of, I did it on my own. I'm here only because of my grit, and so you know, it's hard for them to kind of accept a kind of a new way of thinking, and what we should have done in the car business the whole time, which was to come at everything with a team mentality. And so I think that's what the main struggle has been. But I have seen it, and it's actually huge. It is huge when that happens. In fact, right now on our team, we've got people that one of the things I say to a new salesperson when they come on, when they're spending time, you need to shadow an older salesperson, a person who's been here for a while. You need to spend time walking with them and listening. Make sure you don't say a word. You don't want to mess up a deal. But you always, you know, you shadow and you talk. And I've been blessed with a group of veterans that are willing to step out there and help the new guy, help the new girl, and really pour into them. But there's also been situations where it's not always been the case, and you know, those people who don't get that help from the veterans are not as likely to succeed. But I think part of it is if you create the culture of, this is not just about selling cars, this is about, we're a family, we're a team, we're fighting for a common goal. If you can create that culture, that then kind of goes into that mentality with your salespeople of, I'm not here just to sell a car and everybody else get out of my way. I'm also here for a team and a common goal, and you know, all those things that come along with that.
Yeah, and I think adding to that, so you know, and Kevin talks about culture and how important that is. From a practical standpoint, if you want to get your veterans to pour more into your new people, to take them under their wing, to educate them, to do all of those things, we have to create that environment. We have to praise that, right? People, I have a lot of kids, David, lots, like babies everywhere, right? And all of my dealers that I work with, they hear me say this all the time, right? My 2-year-old, he's 3 years old now, when we were potty training him, right? We wanted him to go to the bathroom in the right place. Whenever he did the behavior that we wanted him to do, we celebrated. Fisher went pee-pee in the potty, yeah, woo! Right. The whole family be like dancing and cheering, right? And that reinforcing of the behavior psychologically made him want to do that action more. That's what we have to do in our dealerships. Whatever behavior you want more of must be celebrated until it becomes cemented. That's how we get.
Y'all need to write that down. It needs to be celebrated until it's cemented.
That's correct.
That's a Glenn Lundy quote right there.
Yes, sir.
So, and you did that. That's funny when you were saying that. My mind goes back to all the social media posts at Dan Cummins when you would do that type of stuff, and it would be a huge party and a celebration. Oh yeah. And culture. Culture was a buzzword back. Then it was starting to really be talked about. But you lived it. And when Kevin was talking like that, though, man, it's such what a rewarding thing. This is a crazy thing. People are listening right now, watching, and but they're in this business. You're in this business, and you care about people. But think about how amazing it is when you're able. Somebody taught me the difference a long time ago in success and prosperity, and I'll never forget it. I happened to be like a minister that was a mentor in my life at a time in a season, and he said, success is the ability, for you to, go on vacation, pay your bills, have some money in the bank, whatever, live, not struggle, what have you. But prosperity is the ability to make others successful. So when you have more than enough, where that's empowering when you desire to be prosperous with your time. And that's what I hear, Kevin, prosperous with your success in the dealership, where it overflows from you, and you now have the ability to help other people become successful. And and the funny thing about that is, you don't have to have a leadership position title for that to happen. But I'm gonna tell you something. When that happens, it's really special, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's the stuff that. I just recently bought a truck, and I got to go visit the old crew.
Right.
And a lot of the people that I hired, there's one kid I remember when I hired him. When he first walked in, his pants were a little loose. He didn't have a belt on. He wasn't real polished, but he was very intelligent. And I talked to the kid, and I thought, man, we can make something out of this kid. And as he was getting ready to walk out of the office, I said, by the way, he was starting a week later in our training class. I said, the day that you start, I'm gonna need you to put on a belt, right? I'm gonna need you to put on a belt. And he looked at me and he said, I'll be honest, I've been self-conscious about that. I can't afford a belt, right? So I gave him $20. Said, go out, make sure you have a belt when you start that next week. Fast forward that kid now like owns his own home, has a great relationship. He's taking care of people. He's grown so much in this industry in just over a few years. And I see that often, and Ben that was just on here, he's documenting some of these things because it's just so powerful. But there's nothing more soul filling. I can make lots of money. That's great. But there's nothing more soul filling than seeing someone else's life completely transformed because you made a decision to pour into them and share your experiences and wisdom so that they could elevate their game. Nothing better.
That's good. Kevin, man, as we wrap this this segment up, I'll give you some closing remarks. Just anything you want to leave the audience with. We've talked about a lot. Just going to give you the floor, and appreciate you being with us. But when you just go ahead and just say whatever's on your heart, man.
Yeah, it's two things I thought about. One, talking about you don't have to be in a leadership role to make things happen. First off, if you are in the leadership role and if your whole desire is just to sell cars and to make money, then you're going to create a culture that's their whole desire, and that's all that it is. And there's no, you're never going to really build that team that is willing to go to bat for each other. But the other thing I thought about was when you said you don't have to be in a leadership role in order to really have that impact. And we just hired a janitor. Just to give you an idea, we just hired a janitor. This guy came to us, highly recommended as a janitor. Great guy. You ask anybody in our dealership, he's been with us for about 4 weeks. You ask anybody in our dealership, and this guy walks around, he talks to everybody, he builds everybody up. He is creating constantly a positive energy around him. He's always in a happy mood. This dude in 4 weeks, this janitor has changed the goings on, the everyday goings on of our dealership, and it's just by his positive attitude. He has made such an impact, and not only that, the customers are like, man, this place, it just seems like it's livelier than it was. Just the customers are noticing. So think about if a janitor can impact a dealership that much, how much can you as the leader every single day have an impact on the dealership? And I just say I really have taken that to heart as I've watched him. All right, how much more responsibility do I have as the person who's supposed to be leading my team every single day? So just share that with y'all, that you do have the ability to make an impact every single day, and I encourage you to do it.
Yeah, man. And I promise you, if you're not currently in a leadership position, but you are the energy leader in your store, you will in short time get the name tag to go along with that fact. It's just fact. Let's look at Sean Hayes, for example. Sean Hayes, if you guys don't know Sean Hayes, he was a salesperson 3 years ago. Decided to go on to social. Super high energy. He brings the energy, right? Attracted my attention. I brought him in as a sales manager over at Dan Cummins, right? Then over there, he's high energy. He attracts the attention of Liza. Liza hires him. He's a GM. Dude goes from salesperson to GM. Not on skill set. I mean, he's talented. Don't get me wrong. But he didn't have any experience in the position he's in now. But he got there strictly through his desire. Well, two things. His desire to develop others, which is incredibly important, and the energy with which he does that.
It's good stuff.
That's what it's all about, man.
It is. It is all about that. And you know what? I was thinking when you said that, if you're working around the right leadership and the right people have the right motives, which a lot of owners of stores and managers of stores do, that we're talking about here, you're going to get noticed. Because I'm going to tell you something, my eyes are always peeled for that. I mean, we're business owners. We're people that are looking for individuals that can help bring a vision to pass. And and so I can tell you that's a fact. Kevin, man, thanks so much for being with us, man. I hope you continue to kill it. And let me ask you this: Would you recommend this 800% club, elite club, to somebody? I'm just wondering. I'm asking for a friend.
Let me think hard on that one real quick. No, absolutely, 100%. It has been 800% Elite Club has been life-changing for me, and I don't say that lightly. It has not just changed my business. It absolutely has. It set us on a course that we were not on before. 12 months ago, we were on a different course. If I had gone through COVID on that old course, I may not be sitting here with you today. All right, so it has changed our dealership, but it has been more than that. It has changed me personally on such a higher level. Changed me as a Christian, as a father, as a husband, as a leader. It's changed me in so many ways, and through Glenn, his leadership, through Danelle, through all the people that we connect with in the group, the other dealers that I'm making connections with. I can't tell you enough how much it has changed my life, but not only me. And this is something that Danelle talks about all the time. Since it's changed me, it's not about me winning and about if I win or lose, but it's 60 families in my dealership, 60 families that are affected by the fact that Glenn has poured into me and that the 800% Club has poured into me. And how many people are they affecting because of what now I have the empowerment to do for my people. So it's not about me. It's about all the people that are affected by me because of 800% Club and what Glenn's done for us. So absolutely, 100%.
Good stuff. Well, man, awesome stuff, man. That's I know that's true, and I know you feel that way because you shared that.
You're awesome, man. Thank you.
You have a good weekend, my friend.
All right, you too. Thank you, guys.
Well, folks, that's what panels we had there, right? Jonathan Dawson, Ben Dykstra, and then Kevin Strosnider. And we're going to give away 2 hoodies. They sent me the winners. They text me the winners. I have no input on who they are. But so the first, I'm giving away 2 hoodies. I announced 1 in the beginning, but I actually said 2 on the video before. So these Auto Dealer University hoodies, the first winner is Jordan Savage.
Oh, I know that guy.
Jordan Savage.
Yeah.
And you could tag him, Sam, let him know. And then we have Stacy Lilston.
All right.
Stacy Lilston. We have two winners of the hoodie. Man, congratulations on those. Awesome. Man, thank you so much for coming on, man. I know you're busy as heck, but dude, it's been crazy.
I love hanging out here, man. This place is awesome.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Why don't you, before we jump off, anything you want to close with? Any kind of remarks or, just listening to these guys, anything you think that might be an exclamation point to put on or a cherry to put on top of the sundae?
The last little piece that and it's probably a little bit off topic. Maybe it's on topic. I don't know. I've been reading a book lately. I read a lot, right? And so what goes in is what comes out, right?
Amen.
And I've just been reading and really looking at, Kevin mentioned it earlier, words, right? The power of words. And so as we get ready to sign off, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, what words are you saying to yourself? Limiting, I can't, doubt, fear. What words are you literally saying to yourself? Because words scientifically have been proven to have energy. They exist. They can change the state of a plant. They can change the state of water. Like, words have energy. So what words are you saying to yourself? Are they positive? Are they encouraging? Are they uplifting? If they're not, let's work on that. Kevin said, instead of saying I'm fine, when somebody says, how are you? Let's say, I'm fantastic. I'm amazing. I could never be better. My life is incredible, right? It changes your state. You notice just the change in my posture as I say those words.
Yep.
So that's the first question. The second thing I want you to ask yourself is, what words are you saying to your people? Are you pouring limiting beliefs into them? Are you holding them back from their greatness? Are you injecting negative vibes into their soul? You might not even be meaning it. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just be conscious. What words? Like, sometimes I'm talking to my kids, man, and I'll be like, you're not being a good listener. That's not the right thing to say.
Yeah.
The right thing to say is, man, you're amazing at this, and let's work on being an amazing listener, right? Like, we want to just shift the words that we're saying. So what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to your people? And then the third thing is, what is your social media or the world around you saying about you?
Come on.
That's what I want to know. What words are people saying? If you're posting divisive stuff, political stuff, all that stuff,
yeah.
what What message do you believe you're sending out to the world by doing that? Well, I want to fight for my beliefs, and I have my opinions and all that. Great. That's great, dude. Have your opinions. I'm just telling you, words matter. They matter. So I'm just going to leave everybody on that note. Think about those 3 things. Shift on those. If you shift the words, you can shift your life.
Come on. Amen. Words matter. I love it. I love that.
Hey, Dave, real quick.
Yes, sir.
We got somebody that wants us to pop in and say hi, if you wouldn't mind.
Uh-oh.
Who is it? Hey, come on in.
Hola.
Mike Chair. What's up, buddy?
Mike Chair.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
How's it
What's
going?
up, dude? How are you, man?
I'm going crazy. It's only day 4, and I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
I've been sitting in the same spot.
We got him quarantined up in the. I was kidding.
I just want to stop in and say hi. I always say bye before the show wraps up.
Thank you, because you know what, people need to understand. You helped make this show happen today, just like you always do, from right where you are, buddy. So.
That's facts.
I hope that's not an oxygen tank behind you.
Good to see you, man.
An oxygen tank. No, that's
That
my
little blue
Deadpool, and that's my microphone.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, it's hanging. It looked like it was in the back, like an oxygen tank or something.
It's like,
yeah.
Nah, I'm not that bad.
wow. Well, appreciate you, brother. See you next week.
Later, guys.
All right.
All right. See ya.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you for hanging out with us. I'll see you next Thursday. Dave Cribbs will be back in studio next week. And, man, Mr. Glenn Lundy, thank you so much. Want to thank Jonathan and Ben and Kevin. And I hope you guys have a wonderful close to this month. And I'm going to tell you, man, I believe that 2021 is going to be huge.
I think it's going to be a big one.
Have a good one, guys.